Welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast, an NFL podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. You are listening to and watching the News Crew. Well, I say news, it's the off-season, so news is relative at this point. I am your host, fresh back for paternity leave. I'm Brian, the conscience of Cleveland Donlan. Tonight, as I say, we're going to be talking about all the latest news, OTAs, and as always, we will have our statistic of the week. Now, remember, everybody that's tuning in, give us a like, a subscribe, follow the crew on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and all of the rest. Now, this week, it's a crew of two, and I am joined by our one and only resident Big Chief. Now he's a fully patched in member of the Hamilton Hells Angels Motorcycle Club as well. So Studs, welcome mate, how you doing?
Not bad. Out obviously testing out the new bike today, and the front brake decided to come off of the wheel, which made it very interesting driving down London Road with no front brakes.
Proper really, mate. Proper really. Only losers break. You just skid into all your stops. Easy rider style.
As you can tell, I survived, so we're all good. It's all soft.
There you go. That's all your bones. I've threatened for years that I want to get a motorcycle, and for years my wife has reminded me with exceptional clarity exactly what will happen to me if I get one. I will not be one of these motorcycle accident casualty statistics because she will make a casualty of me before I ever set my horse on a bike. No, you can count me jealous, you can count my envy. If you and your steed.
Yes, it's just that it's a low power one just now until I actually get my test done and stuff and get some experience. So it's
Right, here we go. We're going to read into it, Studs. We're going to read into this. What's the bike of your dreams? What are we going for here? You know, you're going to pass your test. You're going to get all your tickets. It's all going to be fine. And you're then going to have a lottery win. And you're going to be able to buy whichever bike your heart desires. What's it going to be?
See, for me, and there's I suppose what's the word I'm looking for? It just, there's a certain type of bike. My grandpa was never ever a biker, but I remember he had this type of car, and it's a Triumph, and it just always reminds me of my grandpa. Triumph. When I see those bikes, it just reminds me of my grandpa.
Fair enough, mate. I was
probably go for something like that.
I was thinking instead of seeing you in like a massive big chopper, like the handlebars up at your head and the wee tassels.
The big Harley.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. That's you cruising your way to Arrowhead. Right, okay.
We'll wait and see. It's a long way off the road.
Right, well, yeah, that's true. New adventures, mate. New adventures. Right, okay. As always, ladies and gents, we have got a kick-off question to get us going into eases into proceedings. Now, I've kind of went for a double header tonight since there's only two of us and I've got less people to work this question around. Now, this week, I don't know if you've seen it, Studs, there's been footage emerged of Harry Kane having a bash at field goals. It actually looked quite handy, to be fair. So, thinking of Harry Kane battering some field goals, I've got a two-part question for you. You can have a bash, then I'll have a wee bash. Part one. Which non-NFL player, past or present, do you think could succeed in the NFL? So who do you think could be anybody for any sport? Could be a past great, a current player who you think would have been able to cut it in the league. And then the second half, which current NFL player do you think would be a success in another sport? It's got to be a current player, and none of this picking like rugby. That's just crap. So that one I want points for interesting. So what do you think? Go party. Who do you reckon? Past or present non-NFL player that would have made it in the league? Who'd you go for?
I'm going to go. Believe it. That's actually literally just come into my head. can you imagine Yokozuna as your blocking offensive line? You wouldn't need anybody else. It's from the sport entertainment world, so it fits in nicely.
Yokozuna just a centre. We've lost Studs. He'll doubtless rejoin us, but hey, there's one for everybody to think about. Yokozuna stood there as a centre, or as on the other side of on a D line, just trying to charge his way through to get to a quarterback. It'd be absolutely insane. It'd be like, I'm thinking like E-Honda in Street Fighters was based on Yokozuna. That's what I'm thinking. He's just going to charge his way through. So that's a good one, Studs. I like that. I'm making comparisons here with Yokozuna and E-Honda just getting it the 1,000 slap to get. I'm putting him on the other side of the ball. I'm putting him on the D line, and he's getting to quarterbacks while he's slapping. Right, what were the other half? Which current NFL player would you have in another sport, and who and why?
Well, I was listening to the Kelsey Brothers podcast, and they have a running argument about. It is excellent, and it's pretty funny.
It's the second best NFL podcast I know of.
I would totally agree with you. But and they've got a kind of running thing where they talk about whether NBA basketball players and they could fit across, and is there any NFL players could play NBA? So they have that kind of running argument. So that's probably an obvious one. There's kind of somebody like, I don't know, Devontae Adams. Could he do a job in the NBA? Or we've seen Tyreek Hill showing off his basketball skills and that kind of stuff. So that'd probably be an obvious one. Try to think of probably a less obvious one again.
I'll give you a bit.
You go for it.
I'll go through my two answers to this, right? So non-NFL player. My non-NFL player succeeding in the league's a bit boring. I'll be honest. It's a bit predictable. Bolt. Imagine Usain Bolt as a wide receiver. You're that fast, it doesn't even really matter if you can catch that well. You're going to have about 15 yards of separation for anybody. So I'd have Usain Bolt, my wide receiver room. I think he'd be brilliant. And my current NFL players to succeed in another sport. Like my second Studs is going Mr. Roboto. We'd go the obvious answer. We'd have the cheetah in the 100 meters. But he reckons he'd be up there with Bolt, to be fair, if previous interviews are to be believed. But I can't go through. This isn't going to be the only time I mention this, but can't go through a full show without mentioning him. I can see Baker being really good at darts. Baker, dangerous Mayfield, stepping up to the Yorkie. That can't be great.
I was wondering where the dangerous was coming in, to be fair. I'm like, do we go dangerous Baker Mayfield or Baker dangerous Mayfield?
There as well. Surely there's some transfer between quarterback and dart player.
Oh, I'm willing to bet there's a good few NFL players that we could probably pass off as a darts player.
Yeah, to be fair. Like, I'm even thinking like linemen that just, and then thinking proper 80s darts players that were 90% lager. I think a couple of linemen would fit that role particularly well. Right.
Definitely.
We will move into the big news stories of the week. Now, it is the off-season, so the news is getting thin on the ground. Big story of the last week. Although this doesn't feel like this has only just happened this week. It feels like we've been waiting for this story since before the draft. But D-Hop is off. D-Hop is moving house. He is done. He is gone. He wants to go and succeed. Has always been the chat with him. He's made his bag already. He's not exactly a poor guy, so he wants to go and succeed. So the big question, and particularly given that I'm about to rain all over your parade, particularly given that we've seen some new cap numbers have been released as of Friday that I've got in front of me. Where do you see D-Hop landing? Where is this? Do you know what? I'll give you it in two parts again. Heart and head. Where do you want him to go? Where would you like to see it? And then where do you actually see it happening?
I think the Bills and Chiefs are the logical ones. Let's be brutally honest, right? The Bills, if they can keep Diggs happy and then have D-Hop.
I'm just scrolling down that base list now, mate.
Aye, and both the Bills and the Chiefs are at the very bottom of that. But as we all know, the cap's a myth anyway, so there's always ways round about it. So somebody will magically have a signing bonus, and then suddenly there's 20 million in cap available.
Right, for context for everybody listening, right? So when we see this, I don't actually have what the cap is this year in front of me, but in terms of space available, top of the tree, no space going to Bears. God knows what the Bears are doing with this money. It looks like they're doing the Scrooge McDuck and just filling a bloody swimming pool. They're sat on 32.5 million in cap space, and you spin it all the way down. 32 or 32 isn't actually the Chiefs or the Bills. It's the Bucks, who've only got 400 grand. But at 31, you've got the Chiefs, who are currently sat on 652 grand. And then you've got the Bills, one above them at 1.4 million. So as you say, it is a myth. Let's not get ourselves in. But
yeah,
would they be willing? Well, particularly the Bills, let's deal with them first. They've got Diggs. If Diggs stays happy, are they particularly motivated to faff about with other contracts to try and add another of the same? Like, I guess
the key thing is obviously keeping Diggs happy. So, and how are you going to do that? He came to Buffalo to win things. He left Minnesota, and I think he's been quite open about the fact that he wants to win. Been close to the FC Championship game a couple of times, but I think adding another Whitman, it could be the way like the Rams did, where they brought in Odell Beckham to join Cup. They sold their soul for a Super Bowl, if you like. But the Bills may need to do that, having never won one.
Yeah, but you bring in like this isn't. Like, I get what you mean. Like that is the way to keep Diggs happy, is put a ring in his finger. But at the end of the day, when OBJ was brought into, there was still no question about who wide receiver one was. That was Cup's house. You bring in D-Hop to the Bills, is Diggs undisputed wide receiver one? I don't know that he's necessarily. And let's be honest, in terms of like wage packet, who's going to be paid more? Because we would imagine they would do something interesting to make the numbers work to whatever they need to land D-Hop.
Aye.
And he would be one.
D-Hop will be
parity at least.
I think with D-Hop you're going to see a whole load of incentive-laden bits on his contract. So I think that's how they're going to kind of layer that for him. But you're in an age now where you look at Stu's Bengals, you look at Philadelphia, you look at these are the guys that they don't have a specific wide receiver one. They have a 1A and a 1B.
You are not sitting here saying the Bengals don't have a clear wide receiver one.
I'll be honest, I think the Bengals look at it as they've got Chase as 1A and Higgins as 1B. They don't see it as a wide receiver 1 and 2.
Chase is 1. Chase is 1. They have they have a wide receiver 2 who on I don't know what 25 other teams probably would be wide receiver 1.
Be a wide receiver 1. Exactly.
He's got the talent level to be there, but he's on a team where it's not like he is just a wee teeny bit worse than Chase. There's a significant difference between them. And that is not a dig, that is just praise for Chase. Just praise.
But then, see if you look at it, right? Chase has been out injured during seasons, and Higgins has stepped up to be that one. So I definitely think they think of it as a 1A, 1B. Smith and Brown at the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think you can dispute that one. I think they're a definite 1A, 1B.
Smith and Brown is a very, very clear 1A, 1B.
You look at
I don't actually know who A is.
You look at the Bucks as well. Evans and Godwin, two clear wide receiver ones. If again on any other team, they are
probably is throwing them at the minute.
Well,
we'll be going there in a couple of minutes. Bring it back to your Chiefs. You want it back to your Chiefs, and we know it is, because you are a team that. I heard a really interesting point on it was an older episode of the Athletics football podcast. I can't remember their name. They had an analyst on, a female analyst on, and her point, they were evaluating the rosters, post-draft or the rest of it, saying that she utterly refuses to critique Kansas City skill position players. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter who they are. When they've got Patrick Mahomes and a functional O-line, you could put anybody in at wide receiver. But it is the thing that Kansas don't have. They don't have a wide receiver one. They've got people who, for the sake of a depth chart, sit at the top of it. Yeah. But they don't have that. Well, they had Juju.
Right. They do have a wide receiver one in Travis Kelce. Let's be brutally honest, right?
But I think that's insulting to Travis Kelce, if I'm honest. I think his games get so, because he has a tight end, he does so much more than...
It really does, as I say. I'm obviously being facetious with it, but Travis Kelce is pretty much Mahomes' first read at all times. Tony has the talent, I think, to be a wide receiver one. But I don't know, does he have functional hamstrings? That's probably where we need to ask the question.
More functional limbs for a full 17 games?
Yes, so that's kind of... I don't think we've seen his temperament kind of come out in Kansas, to be honest, and so could that be the New York market as this issue?
Is he a sing when you're winning player? Is he a luxury player that when the team's winning, which Casey has that glorious habit of doing frequently, he's fine. All is rosy in the garden because he's just clocking up W's. And he's going to be in the playoffs. He's going to be in Super Bowl conversations just by the virtue of Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. I don't know. I'm going to chuck in Mash out. The Browns are being heavily linked with D-Hop as well. There is the Watson connection. Huge amounts has been out in the news about how Watson and D-Hop have just been talking because they are friends. They are very legitimate friends for their time in Houston together. We have some cap space. Not loads. We've got 13.8 million. So more than enough to put something together, particularly if we said, look, we're going to do a 1 year prove it kind of deal. The Browns are very much in a spot where we've got 2 seasons, tops. And if we don't go on a reasonable playoff run, the whole thing's going to be blown up. Will the front office go for him? Don't know. Mari Cooper's sitting there on 20-something a year. And to be fair, it expires next year. All the chat is that we will be Cooperless next year. And the hope is that Elijah can step up. But do we go for it? Do we just sell the tiny fragment of soul we have remaining? If we have a fragment remaining to try and go in a deep playoff run, be interesting.
I like the fact that you say, "Do you sell your soul?" Let's say,
tiny fragment.
That's a reach.
The one that I like the look of, but they've actually, I don't know if I believe them because I don't believe any GM in a press conference ever. But the one team that have ruled themselves out, I thought would have been a very interesting one, would have been Dallas Cowboys, because don't get me wrong, they've got Gallup. That they were used to having Lamb and Cooper, who, in terms of not as big a distance as it is at the Bengals 1A, 1B, was a good 1A, 1B. Yeah. Lamb is a better wide receiver than Cooper, but there's not a massive chasm. Lamb and D-Hop, you know what I mean? It's a huge upgrade for Gallup. You know what I mean? It's
definitely. The one that I'm kind of hearing as well, obviously, is Patriots. Again, you've seen the whole videos of Bill Belichick.
Go there to watch his career die.
Yes. But we've seen the videos of Bill Belichick absolutely gushing over him at the sidelines and, I love you too, coach, and all this kind of jazz. So, I think Patriots are one.
You could do a fantasy football from a fantasy football fan. How hard would that tank his value? No one wants any New England wide receiver from a fantasy football perspective. Edelman, incredible football was achieved with Edelman, but he was also underwhelming. Well, not actually like, because not that one fantasy season he was incredible.
I'm sure he did have one where he was frightening.
But it was good. All of that, it was just...
Another thing I've actually heard was there was, I'm struggling to remember the analyst, but I was listening to a podcast and people are apparently saying that D-Hop might have lost a step, which is why there's maybe not so much interest.
Well, that is it, because we do need to remember that this isn't shock news. You know what I mean? The chat was they were actively trying to ship him off for extra draft capital. Yeah, but it's not a big surprise. They're in full blow it up and try again mode. The toys are out of that particular plan. And no one bit, or at least no one bit it. Well, no one bit, because at the end of the day, they're not even just letting him go, they're swallowing a 22 million cap hit. 22 million cap hit in the year, and they're just saying, do you know what, stuff it, we'll take it. Just one, probably so we can tank harder. Yeah, let's not kid on. You've got D-Hop in the field. You know, as much as coaches and GMs and all the rest of it might look at it and say we're tanking this year, I genuinely don't think players tank. I think players go out, they try and win. And when you've got somebody like D-Hop in your team, we've all seen the, fuck it, D-Hop's down there somewhere, throws that he just manages to turn into touchdowns.
Yeah.
Aye. Yeah, so maybe he's lost a step. He is 31, turning 31.
I think he's turning 31.
So for says us two fountains of youth.
See, just to bring something back, I actually seen a comment that Keith's put on for non-NFL players at an NFL team.
Right, go for it.
Ivan Toney at the Lions wide receiver, which I thought was absolutely class. Especially given the Chargers' schedule release about the betting issues.
We're talking Hollywood later in the pod, so don't worry. We'll bring the longest yard into it then. That's a good match. I like that. Right, okay. So yeah, D-Hop will land somewhere, and it'll be interesting. And we'll wait and see. Somebody's going to pay for him. I think common wisdom seems to be that it's going to, as you said earlier, it'll be something that's incentive driven, and I think that's if there are concerns, particularly he's lost a step. I think every team will be looking to do that just to protect themselves a little bit. Right, the other bit of NFL news at the moment, it is OTA time, optional training activities, or whatever it stands for. It's OTA. What is it good for? I'm bringing this up just because it is the question of what is it good for, and I found it a bit interesting. I don't know if you've seen this. A clip. Now, normally when you see clips that come out of OTAs, it's look at insert, Stroud throwing this 70-yard bomb that lands on a 2P piece. You're like, oh my God, he's the next coming. No. There was one of Baker and Trask going rep after rep after rep, and I'm more accurate than both of them. And it's with no pressure. Receivers running the world's most straightforward, just cut routes. And they're just going, whee!
I think you're
particularly bad.
I think you're setting yourself up for a challenge here that we'll need to video. That you're saying you're more accurate, so we need to get the crew together. We'll be your wide receivers, you be the quarterback.
That's fine. I can blame it on the wide receiving cell. So tell you what, my question with this, where do you see the value of OTAs? As far as I'm concerned, I'll give you my point of view, and you can tell me where you land on it. Rookies and newbies only. There's a reason with the Browns that Watson's involved because obviously he missed out so much last year. All the big pieces, Chubb, Cooper, etc., are at best watching from the sidelines because they don't want to take a risk of something niggly happening in an optional activity. When you've got a Richardson, a Stroud, a Wills, all of these guys, not Wills, Levi.
Will Levis.
Will Levis, thank you. Get it. Get these guys in. A little bit of chemistry with some of the other people. Totally buy into that. That aside, is the only reason you're talking about this because I need something to fill a news segment? Is there any value to OTAs?
I think it's basically just so you can fill a news segment. Let's be brutally honest, but we're at that stage of the season where it's just we're waiting patiently for NFL. We're less than 100 days to the season opener in Kansas, and we see that flag getting raised. And, we're almost there, but we need something to fill the time. Let's be honest, OTAs there's part of me, not so much having the veterans in there working. I think having the veterans on the sideline, absolutely. Have them in the building. It lets them get used to the rookies and newbies' personalities. It lets these guys share knowledge into what this franchise they've joined is about. And I think that's an important factor in there to start mentoring, particularly the rookies. Obviously, if you're getting newbies in there, could be veterans of the game already. They've been in the game a couple of years, so they should know what it's about. Whereas rookies jumping from college into the NFL, I think having these guys in there like a Jason Kelsey and mentoring a new centre like he has in the past, things like that. I think get them in, let them mentor the guys in how you do things in Cleveland, how you do things in Dallas. Definitely get them in to mentor them.
Mini camp. Mini camp. Diet, mini camp. Well, on the notion of, to be fair, of OTAs, the Pats got docked too. The Pats get 2 taken off them by the league because they had. Did you hear about this?
I actually haven't. I'm just reading
it. I don't know if I'm amazed at how low ball it's or how kind of small it seems, or I'm impressed by how powerful the players' union is. So they were docked, 2 of them, based on breaches of the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. And what they had done was they had posters up in the facility that were basically advertising some voluntary activities. And somebody has seen it and have basically said that I don't know if it's the wording of the posters, the way they look, whatever, it was something about them that made it look like they weren't voluntary. So they basically get taken in. But the Pats, to be fair to the Pats, they apparently dogged themselves in. Like somebody noticed it, and then they put themselves in front of the league and said, "Look, we've done something that was naughty." And so apparently under collective bargaining, they weren't allowed to insinuate that they had these what they felt looked like mandatory training sessions, even though they were voluntary. So they get docked, 2 of them.
I'm just so disappointed that they dogged themselves in. I was hoping it was like one of the rookies. I'm a fuck doing this. Look at what they're trying to make me do.
We know exactly what that is. Bill has booked 2 weeks in Cancun, fucked the dates up, and then went, shit. How do I fix this? How do I get the 2 days back? He's phoned the league, said, "Shit, boys, I've put posters up." So
phones his intern and says, "Go and put these posters up." I said, "Yeah, in your WhatsApp, get that printed out and get it put around the building."
Absolutely.
Someday will get word of it somehow.
Right. Well, sticking with the Pats as we move into other news, and I'm scraping the barrel with some of this, so bear with me. Mac Jones is excited to be working with a new OC. We're shocked to hear this. Mac Jones, who had a good rookie year. Let's give Mac Jones his credit. His rookie year was good. His second year was less good.
With Matt Patricia and
it was questionable.
Who was the other guy? Matt Patricia and it was with the Giants. What was his name? Joe Judge.
Joe Judge, that was it. Two defensive coaches trying to tell him how to play offense. I love the jokes that were doing the rounds that when he was getting plays, he was just being told, look at what the defense does and do the opposite. So I suppose the question is, what do you think? Mac Jones, better coaching staff around him. Not necessarily, I'm not going to go down, Patriot fans can go down the road of decrying the talent of the coaches. I'm just going to say in terms of skill set, he now does have an offensive-minded offensive coordinator. Do you see Mac bringing, and he's got a better surrounding cast this year, to be fair. As much as I like slagging off Juju, he is better than anything that the Patriots had at wide receiver last year. Do you see Mac recovering some of his rookie form, or is Mac done? Have we seen the real Mac Jones?
Personally, he can't get any worse. Let's be honest. Last year was horrendous.
Hey, you're on a call with a Browns fan. I can assure you it can get worse.
But what I will say, I'm not going to go down the route of whether he can rediscover his rookie form. I mean, I'm going to go down the route of he's got no more excuses, essentially. He can't turn around and blame the head coach. He can't turn around and blame the OC. So I don't know where head coach came from, because he would just...
That loser Belichick was here that achieved.
I think Belichick would just use the force and choke the life out of him if he actually said that, to be fair. But it was... he can't blame the OC or the mix match of OCs where they had two defensive guys, which one's the actual OC. He cannot blame that. He's got Bill O'Brien, who, going with a lot of the Patriots guys, absolutely love the fact that he's been brought back in. He's a competent coach, let's be honest. And in Houston, he probably tried to do everything, which was maybe his downfall, because he really shouldn't be allowed to trade people like David Johnson for D-Hop, especially when David Johnson was broken. So he's... I
think a suboptimal trade.
Aye. I think they keep him away from the trades, and certainly Bill O'Brien will probably do all right. So I think Mac Jones is getting no excuses now. I think it's a case of, right, let's see what's happening.
Interesting season for the Patriots ahead. You know what I mean? You can't, you lose Tom Brady, you lose Tom Brady. You know what I mean? That just is what it is. But we did have all the chat of, it wasn't about a player, it's the Patriot way. It's the... there were all the old jokes. Tom Brady's a system quarterback. Do you know what I mean? But it's been shown that it's not a system. You know what I mean? You need to have the talent to lead that system. Mac Jones was meant to be the second coming, and he looked good for a bit. He looked good for his rookie spell, and then he really looked bad. So I don't know. Can we average out to something passable next year? Who knows? Right, next one. I need to talk about Steeler. Dirty. Marcus Golden, he says Steelers rookie outside linebacker. He has said that he is excited to say that he has played with both Watt brothers. Now, the question to you, if you could pick any player or family of players, preferably, who would you play with? If you can pick and choose. Do you know what? I'm going to just stop you the obvious answer. Cannot be a Chiefs player.
Right. That kind of half takes away. That probably half takes away my answer. I was going to say I'd love to play with the Kelsey brothers. Purely.
Yeah, to be fair, I think Macefield would do a great chat.
Aye. Well, that's it. You look at C. Jason in particular, watching the draft, and he's in there shotgunning beers with the Eagles fans. He just looks like a good guy, a good lad. Obviously, Travis spiking Lombardi's on stage at rock concerts and stuff like that as well. Apparently, it was a replica, by the way. It wasn't the actual Lombardi that he spiked, it was a replica.
Allegedly. Answer it.
I don't think you're allowed the Lombardi.
What do you mean you're not allowed the Lombardi? Well, no, players aren't allowed the Lombardi after that time Mahomes got pissed and tried to hand it to somebody in the crowd.
Oh, he didn't try it. Actually, did you to somebody?
Yeah, sorry. Pat doesn't try to do things. Pat does things. Right.
There's video evidence, so you're not getting back on that one.
Yes, immortalised in film. See, I should like twist the rules here and just say Baker because now he's not a Brown. No, but I'll stick to my rules. Player, do you know what? I'll keep it to current players just because I just love the story and everything. I'd love to play with Gino. I think Gino would be like just everything about Gino, that the whole resurgence and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? That whole career that he's led, I mean, class. That man must have some absolutely belting stories.
I think some of his part, especially writing off, I didn't write back. That was just immortalised right there.
His part was fantastic. Other news stories of the week. That's what I find this interesting, because this is a player that, again, for the fantasy football link, is a player that I don't think gets the respect he deserves. Mike Evans. Mike Evans is apparently, according to the Bucks OC, he is due a big year. They are apparently going to scheme him in a lot more, target him a lot more heavily. Now, how you target somebody more heavily that's in something like 6 1,000-yard seasons concurrently, I don't exactly know. But yeah, he's apparently going to be in for getting a lot of love, which is interesting to see. As I say, he's one of these players that we always talk about. Maggie's just went totally blank. Save me, stats.
Your only hopes.
Nah,
I'm sorry, I'm not a master in the mind of Brian, so it's
Godwin.
I can't escape you.
I was thinking of his wide receiver partner. Godwin's always the star of the show. He's always the that's the one you want. Like, when you think about fantasy football, that's the part of that offense you want. Mike Evans is Mr. Safe Hands, but more often than not. We've seen a few over the piece. Absolutely. Right, other ones. We'll get right. One other sensible news story, and then I've got my fun one. The Niners are excited that Purdy apparently has got a functional elbow again. So I love the Niners' approach to quarterback. Every other team approaches quarterback. This is the most important position on the field. We must have an absolute quarterback one, top 10 in the league, and that is the priority for this team. Whereas the Niners think if they just accumulate enough quarterbacks, they can stick them all together and eventually they'll make a quarterback one out of the component pieces of all of the rest. Frankenstein's quarterback. But yeah, he's in the serious news. He's on the road to recovery, and they're apparently saying that he's looking great in the work that they're doing.
And they're saying that so they don't need to use Sam Ghost Arnold.
That Sam face like Ghost Patty Arnold. He's what again? This is like if you're listening to huge amounts of the Herd, particularly a couple of years back when Colin Cowherd was convinced that Sam Darnold was the second coming. And you know what I mean? Like I've made some hot takes in my time, and some of them have been pretty poor hot takes. I've never made one that bad.
No, not yet.
No, yet. There's always time. There's always tomorrow. Right. My last news story of the evening, and this is one I can't believe I've not. I found this today. Will Ferrell is set to star as John Madden in an upcoming film, evidently. Now, I've no idea if this is going to be some form of biopic, in which case seeing Will Ferrell play a relatively sensible role is going to be something to witness, or if we're going to have some form of Madden-related like buddy comedy. But it's an interesting one. And the question that comes out to it, the NFL has furnished us with a wide array of Hollywood gold over the years. So what is your number one NFL film of choice? You're going to sit down, throw an NFL movie on, it's the off-season, you want that wee hit of NFL without watching an old game. What is going on in the Studs household? And then I get to pick the obvious one.
I would actually put on.
Say again?
I've probably got 1 of 3, to be honest.
None of this 1 of 3. Pish, make a decision.
Do you know what? Just because of the guy's name and Billy Bob, who was one of the offensive linemen on the Friday Night Lights team. He was superb. I just love him for the sheer fact. I think, if I remember right, he's got a baby pig at one stage.
Yep, he does.
His teachers are stripper at one stage. Like, 10, a fucking 10. Just honestly, that one scene, I am in knots. Friday Night Lights. I've never seen the actual programme, so I need to watch the series, but the movie's class.
The movie's sensational. The show, I've not seen the everything with the shows, but I've seen bits, and it's well worth a watch as well. Right, for me, I'll go for my. I'll keep up my Homer mention as a final mention, because there's obviously the Homer mention that I need to get in. For me, my favourite one's going to Remember the Titans. remember, like, it's Denzel. You know what I mean? Denzel's so good, and there's just so many, just like all the wee speeches that Denzel has in the film are just so good.
That was one of my three, to be honest. Remember the Titans as class.
Yeah. Right, my Homer mention, because we can't talk about NFL films without talking about it's got to be Draft Day.
One day back, no matter what.
It's a film that shows the Browns being functional. It's complete fiction, but I'll take it.
The Browns don't have the number one pick.
Well, yeah, we've been there before, and we've made some use of number one picks on the past. I'll get honourable mention to Varsity Blues. Honourable mention. Excellent film as well. Right, okay. We're gonna move on. We're gonna start drawing towards the end. Now I have got kind of two statistics of the week for us this week. Now, first one is less statistic, more question to put to you. So you may have, it's NBA finals. NBA finals have kicked off. We've got the Nuggets playing the Heat. Game 2, 1 o'clock in the morning this morning. For them that's going to watch that. Heat won the first game. So Heat are 1 up. Oh no, sorry, that's nonsense. The Nuggets are 1 up. Nuggets are 1 up in the series. But the Nuggets have caught a lot of flack for having the easiest run to the NBA finals ever. They have just played, just by the luck of the draw, they have just played the weakest kind of possible seed that they could play at every stage of the finals. So my question to you, who do you think, in terms of quality of opposition played, which Super Bowl winning team do you think's had the easiest run to the Super Bowl? I'll give you, I'm going to gibber for a minute and give you a minute to think, because it's a bugger of a question. But I thought of this and I was all proud of myself when I thought it. So I think
look at both sides here. Look at AFC or NFC. We're not just
any team, any of the 32 teams.
If I remember, the Giants won it and they were the last seed, so they would have had one of the hardest ones technically.
Do you know what? I'm gonna toss you a bone because it's a hell of a question. It is an NFC team.
Right. I thought you were going to go Chiefs just to be a dick.
No, it's not the Chiefs. It's an NFC team. It was a while ago. It was a while back.
Green Bay, stuff it.
No, it was the 1982 Washington, then Redskins, now Commanders. Now, not only did they, I'm sure, was that not the year yet? That was the year when there were strikes, so they only played 3 games. So they only had to play the 3 games. So obviously it's one to consider, particularly if you're a first seed. You only need to play the 3 games. You don't need to play as many teams.
Yeah.
But the combined winning percentage that they faced in the playoffs was .438. They played the Lions, who were 4-5, the Vikes, who were 5-4, and the Cowboys, who were 6-3, before beating the Dolphins, who were 7-2. And so it's that in Super Bowl 17. So there you go. Right, and then to round us off with an actual statistic, which I must credit Stu, as I was talking to him earlier today, and he did hand me this, and it does make me exceptionally upset because it's in praise of the Steelers. So between 1969 and now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, have a guess, how many head coaches do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers have had between 1969 and 2023?
Some 4.
3. And the reason it's so galling, do you know what? How many do you reckon the Browns have had in the same window? How many? On you go.
26.
21. And the Browns didn't exist for 3 of these seasons. We weren't a team. We weren't even in the league for 3 of these years.
Oh, jeez.
Bloody Steelers went 3. Yes, sadly. being a well-managed organisation is not something that comes naturally to Cleveland. Right, okay. With
Let's-
that, folks,
on the Steelers loving, we'll call it a day before Brian explodes.
on the note of the Browns fan being sat here in the corner, wanting to go and jump off the Arsene Bridge because he just had to say two nice things about the Steelers in one pod. We're going to call it a night, folks. Listen, folks, that is us for the evening. Now, remember, it is the off season. It's not even the good off season where we've got the draft. Minicamp's coming, so there's always that. Minicamp is coming, but we have got less than 100 days to go, folks. The light is on at the end of the tunnel. We can see it. Look forward to more shows coming out from ourselves. We are going to obviously be reviewing everything that happens in minicamp, any news that comes up in the league we're going to be talking about, and it is sooner than later going to be approaching fantasy time when all of those fantasy drafts are going to be coming up. We will absolutely be chatting through some of that as well. And with that said, folks, it's less than 100 days till we've got football back in our lives. Until then, remember, the crew will get you through. Follow us on all of the socials. It is at Irn-Cru on Twitter. The Insta is grid_iron_crew. Podcast is going to be going out wherever you get your podcasts, folks. And I have been Brian, the Conscience Cleveland Dolan. Thank you very much for listening in with us tonight. Studs, as always, mate, thank you very much for being with me this evening.
You're very welcome, my man. It was good to sit and have a wee blather.
Absolutely. And until next time, folks, as we like to say here, the crew will get you through.